in chat. Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the conference. My name is Rebecca Billings. I work at Mozilla, and I'm really happy to join you today. I work on Mozilla's Web QA team, which is a subset of QA, and as you might guess, we work on Mozilla websites. So I do a lot of testing on websites like Reps and Sumo support. We do a lot of manual testing as well as automated testing. Today we're just going to talk about doing some introductory manual testing work. I was asked to talk just a little about what is QA. So in our jobs, QA plays a really important role. We are the user advocates for the team. We look at how real people use our websites, and we make sure that all of the software works as it's intended to work, and then make sure that nothing happens that is not supposed to happen. So we go through a lot of real-world examples of how people actually use our websites, logging in, creating accounts. We do load testing. We do all kinds of different types of QA. Today we're going to talk about basic getting introduced to QA. I'll step back and say QA is really important because we're the people who find bugs. We do a lot of testing. We make sure that nothing breaks for real people in the real world, ideally. You know, the goal is to find all of the bugs before it gets released out into the world. And what's really important about doing at Mozilla is that this is a way for you to contribute to an open source project. You're helping actual users enjoy our products. And it's also a way to gain a lot of skills and meet new people and network and learn more about just QA and the whole software development lifecycle, especially if you're just getting introduced. Like if you're in school and you're learning about technology and you want to have a job in the real world, participating in an open source project like Mozilla will allow you to learn about these things and meet new people. And so when you're ready to go and find a new job, you'll have a lot of advantages. You'll have a lot of knowledge ahead of time. And if you do things like automation, you'll have built up a whole resume full of work. Today we're going to talk also about One and Done, which I will share my screen. One and Done is a QA tool that was created by Mozilla, and it was created so that people who are looking for ways to join Mozilla, to help out and to contribute, could come to this website and find ways to contribute, find projects to work on, and find tasks to do, and do it on their own without having to be connected to a particular person. Can you see my screen? I can't really see it shared, but I'm going to look on IRC. If someone could just let me know, that would be great because I see a blank black screen. If you guys can see the website I'm sharing, just let me know. Yes, no? Yes, okay, fantastic. So there we go. When a new user comes to this website, the first thing they see is an introduction about why QA matters. And it shows you that you can really take as little as 15 minutes and do something that makes a difference for Mozilla. You can just jump in and start to help. And if you want to do harder things, there are harder things, but there's a lot of stuff for people who are just getting started. So if you don't know what it is that you want to do, we have a list of suggestions for first tasks. So all you have to do is log in. You need a persona email account, which I guess you'll learn about today if you don't already know. All you have to do is find something that you want to do, and then it's as easy as clicking it. I'm just going to pick this one as an example. Clicking it, it tells you everything you need to know about doing this work. It tells you all of the steps. It tells you what to do if you run into problems. It tells you who to contact. You can see the name here of who you're supposed to get in touch with if you get stuck, if you have any questions. And you have a whole list of people who have already done this task before you, so you will be added to that as well. So all you have to do is click Get Started. I'm going to go through this quickly now, and then I'll go more slowly later on. And then once it's yours, all you have to do is take 15 minutes. This one is about Firefox accounts and setting up sync. You just follow the steps, 1, 2, 3, and then at the end of it, you click complete. It says thank you, and here's a chance you can send some feedback. And this is really great because you can tell people, these are the things that I looked at. These are the bugs that I found. These are the questions that I have. And when you click submit, it actually sends an email to a real person at Mozilla who will get your email and will hopefully email you back and say thanks and maybe invite you to a test day or to a team meeting, or tell you ways that you can get more involved if you want to learn more about that particular team. And of course, if you actually want to ask them a question, or if you want to find out more about the Firefox accounts or syncs, anything like that, you can just put this in the feedback form, and then after clicking submit, the email will go off, and they will know that you did this task, and they will get all the things that you sent them. And then you have the choice of going on and doing the next task. So it's very simple. So each time you finish a task, you can go back and you can look for a new one. If you don't know what to do, you can always go back to the first list of suggestions that it just has everything. If you know what you're looking for, you can go to the available task team. You can search by name, like, oh, I want to test Firefox Mobile. I want to make sure that I have only beginner things. You would click that. You have how much time. You don't have to fill out any of these unless you want to. These are all just choices. I have 60 minutes, 1 hour. And then you can just search. And it will pick all the tasks that fit all the things that you asked for and pull them up for you. And then all you would have to do is look at each one. And if you like it, you can take it. And if you don't want to do it, you can just go back to searching and then find something else that interests you. One of the great things about One and Done is you can learn about all the different areas of QA. Each of the QA teams works on very different projects. Some people work on Firefox. Some people work on phones. Some people, like myself, work on websites. There's a lot of different areas to work on. So you can really spend some time searching and finding new things and trying them out if that interests you. And then maybe you'll find something you really enjoy working with. You might then want to connect with the team, and this is the way to do it. Like, it gives you all the names of the people, it gives you the names of the teams, and then once you get the task done, you have a way to communicate with people at Mozilla. And I can guarantee that everybody here who is listed on these tasks gets personal emails from people like you. And it's so amazing to see people contributing to Mozilla, because we can't do all of the testing ourselves. We can't do any. We rely on people like you to help us out. So it makes a real difference if you help us running test cases, if you verify bugs, if you do some triage. Like, there's so many things in here that are really important, and having people actually run these tasks makes a big difference, and it helps Mozilla a lot. And we really appreciate the work that you do too. So I would encourage all of you to get involved, to take a look at this tool, and to check out the different kinds of tasks. It has everything from people who are very, very new to technology, who might want to do things like creating a Bugzilla account, all the way to automation tasks, which are very complex, which are much more difficult and are geared towards people who actually are familiar with GitHub and writing out pull requests and other things like that. So for today, I was asked to run through one particular task with all of you. And that task is task number 103, if you want to pull up the site for yourself. I will quickly post this link into IRC for everyone who's following along. And this is about exploratory testing. So exploratory testing is a great way to start learning about QA if this is something you have not learned about in school, if it's something that you've only heard about but you're not sure what it is. Exploratory testing is something anybody with a curious mind can do, because like the name says, you're exploring, you're testing, you're taking a look at a website, in this case, and using it like a user would. You try all of the choices, you try all of the links, you try all of the variations of how to look at it, and that's exploratory testing, and that's really important. And the reason why it's important is that everybody has a different operating system. They use different browsers. They use different add-ons. There are so many combinations of how to get to this one website that we can't replicate them all. And having lots of real people with their unique settings run through these tests actually finds bugs for us, which is fantastic. And then I guess you'll learn how to file bugs on Bugzilla later. But for the first part, the exploratory testing, what you really want to do is just take a look at whatever it is and start poking at it. First you would do all of the things that a normal user would do. And then maybe you'll get creative to try different combinations of things. And that's where you find some really interesting bugs and breakages. So we'll just start from the very beginning. So this exploratory testing task is about testing the YouTube website and also using the Aurora browser. And we're looking specifically at HTML5 videos. In this task, you can see the owner, you can see the team, you can see the browser. You can see that this event was created specially for everybody who's at the marathon today. You can thank Ikram for that.
Nice.
And the first thing you want to see is why it matters. So a lot of times this will have information about why this one thing really helps out a particular team. This task was created for your QA event, so that's why it matters today. The prerequisites list all of the steps that you need to take before you actually start testing. So in this case, since it's testing YouTube with the Aurora browser, the first thing you would do is actually install Aurora. And if you don't already have it installed, it gives you a link to another task that tells you exactly how to do that. So you can download it, you can open it, you can use it. You could actually do exploratory testing on any browser, but for this one, we picked Aurora. And we will go on to the steps. So the first step is to launch the Firefox Developer Edition. So if anyone wants to play along, you can open up your browsers. I am going to jump back and forth between this tab and another tab with YouTube so that we can talk about the steps and then watch me do it while you're watching me. So the first thing, if I were at work and I was testing this site, the first thing I'd do is I'd go to youtube.com and begin watching a video. So I will go over to YouTube, and I'm actually going to, I see that my video is pretty slow for the bandwidth, so hopefully I just fixed that. Anyway, so I'm looking at YouTube, and I'm waiting for it to show on video so you can see what I'm talking about. The first step is to go to YouTube and then watch a video. But it's not just any video. You want to make sure that you have an HTML5 video. So what you would do is you would go to YouTube and you would search. I don't know why it's... Stephen, can you see that I'm on the YouTube page?
No, you're still on the exploratory task on one and done. Yeah.
It's not updating very quickly. Well,
I saw it update your scroll position, but I don't know how long ago that was.
Right. So I'm looking at the YouTube page, and you'll just have to imagine along with me that you're looking at YouTube, because I would imagine that most of you have watched a YouTube video before. This is exactly the same. So what you want to do is you want to find an HTML5 video. How do you know it's HTML5 video? Well, you can search for HTML5 videos, or you can open up one that you know is in HTML5. And the first thing you want to do is to start playing it to make sure it works. I'm just going to play mine and see if it changes the video. Does it change it? No. All right, we're having bandwidth issues. That's fine.
Do you want me to try at all? You want me to try?
Sure, why not? Actually, I will impromptu.
Let's just
stop looking at my share.
Hold on. See if I can do this.
Here, let me click on it real quick to see if bringing it back brings it back correctly.
Video desktop nightly. Here we go. Oh, whoops. I should stop sharing according to what you just said.
Oh, no. That's
wow.
fine. Here.
Let's
just look at yours.
There's a blank one. Is it? Or
yeah.
Is it going?
That's what happened the first time I brought it up. So you bring yours up, and I'll talk.
Okay, let's see.
Thanks for being patient, everybody.
Yeah, there's that. And then let me do, just to make sure that works, and then let's try this nightly one.
Here, Stephen, I will actually post the link to the YouTube video that I found for HTML5 into the IRC channel. So anyone who wants to look at it can follow along. And I picked this video for a couple of reasons.
Yeah, I just realized I picked a 4K video, which is going to be absolute murder on this resolution and bandwidth. So let's go with your lower.
Yeah, mine's a 5-minute video. It's much better.
Yeah, it's going to have fewer problems. Okay. So it's on IRC.
You can just follow all of my instructions. Right. So the first thing we want to do whenever we see a YouTube video, it's still blank, but I'm just going to assume it'll come up, is you make sure that it plays. So you click on the play button, you make sure the sound comes out, you make sure that the video plays as you expect it to play.
Sorry, hold on. I closed the window accidentally. Let me go find the video and I'll click on it real quick.
Okay.
But I see it coming up, so I think this will work. I think it'll work. Oh my million channels. Okay, here we go, everyone. Thank you for your patience. This is what we do all day.
Yes, this is what we do all day.
Alrighty, so HTML5 and CSS3, this tutorial?
Yes.
It says auto 720. You want me to cut that down to 480 or 360 just to...
Well, that's part of the testing. You're skipping ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. I was just trying to get this thing to render. All right, let's go back to 720. Okay, anyways, we're here. I think we're sharing it now.
All right, so the first thing we do, the first step in our exploratory test is to right-click on the, well, the first thing is to make sure it plays. So maybe just click play. If that takes too long, we can just pretend that it does. There, I see your video.
All right, so right-click, yep. And we're doing the stats for nerds?
Yeah, pick the stats for nerds. So that actually brings up options, and you should pick yes. And then you should be able to see what it does, which is kind of interesting. Right-click options are always interesting on web pages because there's a lot of interesting things that you can see and do that are sort of invisible unless you think to actually right-click them. Yep, I see all the options now in your dashboard displaying, so that's pretty cool. All the next steps are just different things you can try in playing the videos. You can let it play and then watch the slider as the video loads and then jump around so that you can skip ahead or skip back by just clicking on the bar. I don't know if that will render very well.
No, it'll be very, very jumpy, I think. Well, let's try.
The idea is that you can sort of click ahead. Like once a video has started loading and there's a gray bar, you're able to just skip ahead to that part of the video. Or you can just click back and it should just start playing. Like that's your expectation, is that it just keeps going and that you're able to go to whatever part of the video you want as long as it's loaded. The other options, oh sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying there's a bunch of actions that I just did queuing up, so probably in a few seconds we'll see all the things you just talked about happening.
I still see the dashboard for the stats for nerds.
Yeah, let's get rid of that.
Oh, it doesn't hurt anything, but.
No, but it takes up, I can't view the whole thing without seeing everyone else and your reaction too, so I need to have a little bit of a window. So yeah, not perfect resolution right now, but.
And I will say too that this is a perfect example of testing. Not everybody has super fast bandwidth. Not everybody has the best computers in the world. When we're testing websites, we need to make sure that our websites display correctly for everybody, for all users, for all combinations of browsers and OS. So the more people who look at it, like you, with all of your unique setups, the more information we have that our browsers are actually serving the websites the way that they're supposed to, regardless of your setup. So if you're having bandwidth problems, this is actually a good opportunity to do some testing to make sure everything performs as it's supposed to and doesn't throw any errors. It doesn't come up with the wrong web page. You can still see the image even though it's slow. This is all valid testing.
And in particular, this is extremely important testing right now for Mozilla because we are trying to work with YouTube to replace Flash as the default rendering player for videos on the web in every single country that we ship to. And it's going to be really difficult to do that. It's different providers, different bandwidth, different scaling, bit rates,
Exactly.
all kinds of stuff.
Right. I mean, that's the
cards,
essence of testing, is there's an infinite number of combinations for how people enter into the internet and how they use it. And we're trying to make sure things work for the best for the most number of people. And the only way we'll know that that's really successful is to have feedback from a lot of testers who are using our websites and letting us know that things are working or not working as they're supposed to. And a lot of times people do accidental testing. You'll watch a video and there'll be a problem and you'll just feel frustrated. But what would be great is if you could figure out where the problem is and file a bug so that we can fix it, so that we can get beyond this. This is the best part about QA, is making it so that everything's more enjoyable for the people who want to actually use websites. So the other options besides moving around the time is you can change it to watch it in theater or full screen modes. This is really great, especially for different sizes of browsers, laptops, mobile devices. There's so many options for screen size that changing it around to change the view is often a great way to find bugs.
I was trying to find that video, but I think it's not on YouTube. The one with the fire and all that fun stuff.
Right.
I don't mean to take over.
It's all right. So the next steps is just to try a combination of playing, pausing, play it again, pause it again. Make sure that it's really interactive in the way that you would expect. And you can apply these ideas to any website. It doesn't have to be a Mozilla website. It doesn't have to be YouTube. This is testing on any website. It's just to make sure that it really works the way that you expect it to work. And so you just try all of the options over and over again in different combinations. Another option would be to change the video quality and speed. This is going to be very different based on your internet provider, based on your bandwidth, based on your machine capacity. All these things are very different for every person who's using it. And hopefully the experience is still good. You can do the next suggestion, which is to run multiple videos at the same time in different tabs. And this is where we get into the creative part of testing, because most people only run one video in the browser, but people who are very creative are trying to break it, might open up 2 or 3 or 4 or more tabs and have different videos in each one, try to play them all at the same time. What happens? What does happen? It's really interesting. You might try it and see what happens, and it might break for you. It might work. It's really interesting to try. So thanks, Stephen, for trying to load different videos on different tabs.
Yeah, all the way across the world.
Right. For the most part, this works pretty well. sometimes when everything works well, that's the most boring part about QA. The interesting part is when stuff really crashes or breaks, so you find a perfect combination of things to make things not work. But that is the fun part about QA, because it's never the same. It's always interesting because you're always doing new, different things. And the more creative you can be about trying to find ways to break things, the more fun this job is. So we've already tried running multiple videos at the same time in different tabs. You can open that up. You can try running it in multiple tabs in different browsers. You can really just make it as much as you can, as much as your system will support, you can try. The next step for testing is about playlist, which goes back to the first one that I gave you, the first link.
Okay. All right.
Because that is actually a playlist. If you're not familiar with YouTube, you can set up a series of videos and where one will play and then automatically the next one will play. And so this is another scenario where you have to make sure that it actually performs as expected.
By the way, I just switched to best frame rate, so I think that's going to help.
Okay, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be this guy right here.
So when you're doing this test, what you really want to see is that the first video plays, and then it stops at the end, and then seamlessly transitions and brings up the next one in order. So you want to make sure it brings up the correct one. It doesn't jump ahead in the cycle, and that it automatically starts playing without you having to do anything. And someday, we'll see the video that I picked, because it actually is in a playlist. And since I put it in IRC, all of you can try it too, and you can see that an example of a playlist video. There's a lot of good ones for music too, if that's something you're interested in testing.
Yeah, I've been doing this, so in a few seconds we'll see it happen, hopefully.
Okay. And if you could put it near the end of the video so we could just sort of watch it transition, that would be really great.
Yeah, and let me actually pause it to make sure that we catch that point, because that is pretty important. And not to introduce too many advanced things or to make this too complicated, but a tool that a lot of us use. And if you're really, really interested in this stuff and you want to see how it works kind of behind the scenes, if you pull down the Tools menu and you go to Web Developer, you go to Network, literally everything that goes from your browser on your local machine over to the website and everything in between, you'll see that as individual items. It's hard even for us who see this day in, day out to understand what this all means. But we can tell which servers are being hit, what the server is giving to us back, if there's an error, that kind of stuff. Sometimes there's stuff that happens that's behind the scenes that leads to the thing that you see, but if you don't pull down this network console, you kind of won't get the more details that your developers and your other QA engineers would be able to use to help you figure out what the problem is. So anyways, I've got this going. So I paused it at 550, so it's at 542. Once it gets to 550, I'll unpause it and we can see it do its jumping thing.
Yes, and you're actually bringing up some excellent points about using tools for testing. I think that's a little advanced for today.
It is, yeah.
They are just starting out their QA introduction weekend, and we are the first session after the very, very beginning, so we don't want to jump ahead. But there are a lot of tools to make testing more interesting and to see all of the things that are going on in the background, and that actually helps find a lot of bugs, and it helps you understand exactly what's happening on the website. The cool thing about QA is that even if you're aiming to be a web developer or any other kind of developer, an understanding of how to do QA will make you better at your job, because it's not just about writing code, it's about understanding how people use it and making sure that it works. And the more understanding you have of how things work and also how people use your stuff is going to make you better at technology no matter which department you actually end up working in.
Yep.
And so I saw the video go and then it turned black.
Yeah, it's going back because I think it went to the next one. So if you want me to resume it at my 550 mark, it'll have 2
It's
seconds
fine.
left, but it'll take some time to get there, I think.
We'll just assume that it works because I tested it before our session today, and that will be something that everybody can do on their own after we get off the video. Is that we've put the links into the IRC channel. You can pull up the same video, try all of the buttons, try all of the things for playing it, fast forwarding it, make sure that sound's working okay, change that around. You know, every little option that you can, try clicking that and make sure it works, and that is the beauty of exploratory testing. And let's see. Oh, here's another option. Trying to run the test with the battery versus being plugged in. This actually, there's an excellent point here that some machines do use different video drivers. And this is something that you would never know as a person just looking at it, but that's an excellent point for testing.
I had no idea. On mobile phones, I guess I had an idea, but no on desktop. Yeah.
Exactly. And trying all the options in the right-click menu, we talked about that before. And last but not least, exploratory testing. Just poke around, push the limits, try to break something, add many, many comments. Try editing, deleting, downloading, adding, sharing. There are so many things that you can do on this one website that would be part of exploratory testing. And all of those areas, hopefully they work, but there's still room to find bugs. So that is the beauty of QA. And just making sure, like, the reason why QA is important is because every website is constantly changing. They're fixing bugs, they're creating new features, they're adding new things, and every time they check in a change, this is an opportunity for things that used to work to break. So it's really important to keep running test cases, to keep looking at these things, to make sure that all the stuff that used to work still works, even with the new changes added in. So this is an ongoing process that keeps us all very, very busy. And it's fun, too. So I hope that all of you will make a point of trying this out. And if you're interested, taking a few tasks on One and Done, I would encourage you also to just get involved with open source or specifically Mozilla. You can find all sorts of ways to contact us and to get involved with our teams and to learn more about the areas that you're interested in and to find people who are willing to point you towards articles on how to learn new skills or do new things or, you know, really stretch your automation skills. There's a lot of opportunity for participation. There's a lot of opportunity for growth. And we really, really appreciate all the people who want to come on board with Mozilla and work with us and do things with us. And so that's a lot of talking from my end. So I would say thank you very much. And I would encourage you to do this task or any of the other ones on One and Done. And I will stick around in IRC. My nick is rbillings. And you can ask me questions there. In the future, if you ever want to come hang out in Pound QA or Pound Moz Web QA, Stephen and I are almost always there, and we'll be happy to answer your questions and to try to find something that interests you if you feel like participating and contributing to Mozilla. So thank you very much to Ikram and all of you for coming to the QA Marathon, and I will say thanks a lot and good night. And we'll just continue this in IRC, and thanks, Stephen, also for being my co-host.
Thank you, and sorry for disrupting some of your scripted video-ness, but
not at all. All right.
And,
thanks a lot, everybody.
And I'll be around in IRC as well, so yeah,
Great.
Please ask both of us questions. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.